Welcome to the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. We are back. College football is back. Come on in, folks. We got Matt Sims, former NFL QB, Skubie Mageza in the house. I'm Sam Ravech. Great to have you with us. We got a great show, of course. We'll be taking you through a couple of the games we've seen already today. Some games that we will be previewing, also some live look-ins as well. Guys, it's great to have college football back. I just want to get your thoughts because obviously the talk of today is Colorado. We will get there. But, just kind of your thoughts overall on day one of week one.
It's just that time of the year, man. You know, fall is in the air. It was a little chilly this morning when I woke up. There was that dew in the grass, man, and I was just like ready to go, man. I was so pumped up and ready to watch some football. So, yeah, I just feel like a kid again all over, and so honored to be here with you guys.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you on the show. And Sam, it is that time of year. This truly is the best time of the year. You smell the grass outside. You're like, oh, yeah, it's football, getting a little chillier. And talk is cheap. No more talk, all right? We're here, and we heard all that talk with Colorado. We heard all that talk with the other teams, and I'm excited to talk about this team. So why don't we get into the highlight that everybody else is talking about? Colorado taking on TCU. And welcome to prime time. He said he brought some luggage with him from Jackson State.
Sure did.
And it was Louis, Shedeur Sanders, and Travis Hunter. You see them. And on their first drive of the game, you see Sanders finding the freshman Dylan Edwards to make it 7-0. Colorado's first passing touchdown on the opening drive in 39 straight games. Third quarter, it's a 3-point lead. If you act up, you get smashed up. Dylan Edwards following the big men to perfection. 565 total yards of offense in this one for Colorado. They had a 10-point lead there, but TCU stayed in it, and so did the Hunter, Travis Hunter. Oh, my gosh. Did y'all see that?
Special.
This dude was all over the
day.
field.
Too easy.
What in the world is in that bag? What you got in that bag?
Money.
That's right.
Money.
He was deep in it. Huge stop there, fourth quarter. It's 4th and 2 for Colorado. Huge play here, and Sanders finds Edwards again. 4 total touchdowns for this freshman. Nearly 160 yards of offense. Colorado takes the lead late, but Horned Frogs, last chance. 4th down in the 4th. Someone has to make a play, and he's short. The hype train is real. What do they say out there in Colorado? We coming. And y'all definitely are. Put some respect on their name. Shedeur Sanders, 510 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's a school record.
Yep.
A guy coming from an HBCU. They do this against a team that was favored by more than 20 points. And let's not forget, they played in the national championship last year. Huge win for Colorado. But I think a number of things stand out in this game. And for you, Sam, Travis Hunter playing both sides of the ball, 129 snaps. That's special.
119 receiving yards, had that interception as well. It just looked like he was all over the field and could do it all for this team. I think it's important to keep in perspective, too. And, Matt, I want to get your thoughts on this. This is a Colorado team that won 1 game last year. Yeah. The expectation was, and you looked at
we did it.
Right. They have already had their one win here. But, you lose all of those players, or I guess you maybe kick them out of town if you're Deion Sanders, and you bring in your players, and he got a lot of flack for that. You look at what they did here today, I think they've answered a lot of questions. This Colorado team is going to win a lot more than 3 games this year.
I mean, you know what? It doesn't even matter if they win more than 3 games. I'm going to keep watching because that was entertaining football. It's great football players. It was fantastic coaching. I really just commend Deion Sanders because I'm definitely one of those people that was doubting, how he would be as a decision maker, as a head coach, as a leader and all that stuff. Actually, I knew that he was a great leader. I knew that he was a great motivator. But, man, to go out there and have his team prepped and ready to go and to make as many plays as they did to a team that was trying to bounce back from a terrible national championship experience, man, they showed out.
What did today answer for you in regards to, all right, this is now what I expect from Colorado week in, week out? What answers did you get from the Buffs today?
The thing is with football, you are as good as the person that's on top of that pyramid, right?
Yep.
The guy that is leading you, and they got a hell of a leader. He knows how to motivate his young men, a new age and generation of young football players, and I think that's something that's extremely important and will be vital for them in their growth as a program.
Yeah, I think one thing that we talked about as well is the amount of professional-minded people on this coaching staff. You see how they handle themselves and how poised these kids were in this game. And then Sean Lewis, their offensive coordinator, coming over from Kent State and then calling the type of game that he did was special. Now, we haven't talked much about TCU. I want to bring them up real quick because they lost Garrett Riley, their offensive coordinator, who ended up going to Clemson. And now that you have this new guy calling the offense, there were some questionable play calls in terms of being able to run the ball more rather than passing it. I think Colorado did really well in coaching this game with the coaching staff and then the players just executing when they were put in the right position.
No question about it. All right, let's continue on. We also had a lot more highlights today. Virginia at Tennessee. And this was a lot of the Tennessee's ideas here, by the way. Paying tribute to Lavelle Davis Jr., Devin Chandler, Deshaun Perry as well. Mike Hollins leading out his team for the first time since that tragedy that kind of shortened their season last year. Tennessee's opening drive, Joe Milton finding Dylan Sampson for the 9-yard score. Vols up 7-0. More Tennessee, though. Again, coming off their best season in 20 years. Started out great last year, starting out great here again. Dylan Sampson getting it done. That is 14-0. Tennessee. And it was all Vols all game long. Joe Milton gets a piece of the pie here. Tennessee gets it done early and easy, 49-13, the final there. Look, I think when we talk about Tennessee as well, guys, coming off their best season, they won their first 8 games of the season last year. They ran into Georgia. And I kind of feel like we're kind of going that direction again. The schedule for Tennessee is tougher. What did you learn about Tennessee here today, Matty?
I think it was a great just opening weekend for Joe Milton. Get his feet wet, get comfortable. You know, a lot of expectations with him. The hype this offseason, the buildup was tremendous. I think he performed extremely well, played extremely efficient. I think they were a little off as far as an offense passing the ball today. They weren't like maybe as clean as what we saw towards the end of the season, or at least when Hendon Hooker was the starter. But nonetheless, they ran the ball extremely efficient today on the ground. They are able to show that they can push the ball physically down the field. And I think a well-balanced Tennessee team will be better served as the season goes.
I want to dive in on Joe Milton's performance just a little bit more because obviously you go from having a guy like Hendon Hooker who's more of a passer, but Joe Milton is more of a thrower. Can you explain to everybody what that technically means so they understand that?
Yeah, I mean, hey, I can throw it a mile, but there's a difference between throwing it a mile and throwing it a mile to somebody in stride, right? And I think that's something that Joe Milton, as he continues to get experience, a guy that's been in college for as long as he has, he only has about 600 snaps to his name compared to a Bo Nix who has over 3,000 snaps as a quarterback. So Joe Milton has a little bit of a learning curve, right, to adjust to everything. Good start today. There's going to be a lot to learn from the film. You saw a few passes that were just off the mark that would have been explosive plays, but I expect them to correct those as weeks go on.
Just quickly before we move on, Tennessee went for 525 yards a game last year. Is it fair to expect them to do that this year?
You know what? I think it's really tough to kind of recapture that same exact like surprise factor that they had on everybody last year. You know, usually when you have that success, everyone goes back in the offseason and watches what they did extremely well. So I don't expect the flashy numbers, but I expect more efficient football.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and multiple drops from receivers today. That's one thing that I saw. Milton put some up in the air for them to be able to make a play, and they weren't able to make that play, which was tough for him, especially when you're in a game, your first game as the real starter for the season. You want to see your guys make those plays for you. I think they will get better throughout the season, but Sam, to your point, being able to replicate that 525 passing yards per game is actually wild. It's an uphill battle. All right, let's move on to the next game because this offense went off today. Oklahoma against Arkansas State. And, you know, we start off the game well. The Sooner train was all the way rolling, and so was Dylan Gabriel, one of the most experienced quarterbacks in all of college football. Finds Drake Stoops from 10 yards out. Late in the first, Gabriel, he was balling. Finds Gavin Freeman for 7 yards. And then Gabriel and that OU offense, man, let me just have y'all understand. They ran Arkansas State out of the building. Literally. I mean, Arkansas blows them out 73-0. Dylan Gabriel threw for 308 yards with 3 total touchdowns, despite only playing in the first half. And then the second string quarterback went in and went 11 for 11, 114 yards. Oklahoma's completion percentage was at least 90% in this game for the first time since they joined the Big 12.
Is that good?
In 1996.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
That's all right, yeah.
If you're at the free throw line, that's good too.
There's room for improvement. Yeah.
But Dillon Gabriel's and Brent Venables found their way here. What impressed you the most, Matt, about this performance?
Dillon Gabriel looked extremely comfortable in the pocket all day long. Great decision-making, quick decisions too, getting the football out of his hands quickly. So that was impressive. And then Brent Venables, I think, sending a message to the rest of the conference of like, yo, hey, I'm back. I'm focused on defense this year. We're going to be a different, more physical defense throughout the season. So Brent Venables, Dillon Gabriel, firing all cylinders week 1 and impressive start to the season.
I was really curious to see how this defense was going to be this year, especially having a defensive-minded like Brent Venables. One quote that he had before the season started is I'm not being involved in the defense. To me, where I need to be is the defense. I need to be completely involved now that they need my help. Not that they need my help, but that's how I got to this position.
Absolutely.
So playing more on the defensive side of the ball, having more of a say in what they do from a defensive game plan really stood out today because they kept a goose egg on that scoreboard. Keep an eye out for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'll just say this too quickly. 6 and 7 is not going to fly for Boomer Sooner Nation.
Absolutely.
And everybody knows that.
Yeah.
I mean, they averaged 33 points per game last year, 6.5 yards per play. That was their worst mark since 2013. A lot of schools, Iowa, might want those marks, right? But that's not kind of what the expectation is when you play for Oklahoma.
And we were expecting this performance from Texas today.
Yeah.
We got it from Oklahoma. So, it's really going to be interesting to see how that Red River rivalry.
We're not moving on.
Red River rivalry.
Next commercial.
Week 1.
All right, so we go from Oklahoma to another school that started slowly here today, Ohio State. Quarterback question. McCord, Brown, who's it going to be? First quarter, no score. Williams takes the handoff here and for the touchdown. Ohio State going up 7-0 early. Third quarter, Buckeyes up 10. Here is Kyle McCord over the middle there, finding Cade Stover. He goes for 49. Down to the Indiana 24. Big play for OSU. A couple plays later, Williams takes the handoff and goes in for his second tutty of the game. Buckeyes lead at 20-3 and now lead at 23-3. And Maddie, we talked a lot about this McCord versus Brown. I know they're trying to get the best out of their quarterbacks here. McCord started off a little bit slow, maybe a little bit hesitant, as did it felt like the entire offense really for Ohio State. What do you make of McCord's play so far in this game?
It's McCord all the way. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
I'm
He's
with
the
you.
guy,
Yeah.
And honestly, we should expect some learning curve, right? It's his first time out there in a Big Ten game. It's not like he was playing against a team that's like an easy pushover. Indiana came up ready to go. They played tough on defense. McCord did his job. Listen, he's got to weather some of these issues here, but man, like this throw right here, tight window, drilled it in there perfectly. Another great throw down the sideline right here. So as he continues to get more comfortable and confident in the offense, we're going to see the true Kyle McCord pour out.
Man, I should have known Devin Brown wasn't going to be in this QB battle when they said he was wearing number 33. Because I'm like, when you look at it, McCord was 20 for 33. Devin Brown 1 for 3, and then he had another rushing yard, rushing attempt. So it really wasn't much of a QB battle. And I was curious to see if we were going to see them going back and forth, and it wasn't that. This is McCord's team, and he definitely is going to have his chance to get better as the season goes along.
Ohio State returned 72 of their 75 touchdowns from last year. This is one of the most talented rosters in all of college football. Here's another talented roster, by the way. That would be Michigan. And they 30-3 today over East Carolina as well. We saw J.J. McCarthy play incredibly well, 26 for 30, 280 yards, 3 tutties. Roman Wilson was stellar as well on the outside. Jim Harbaugh not there, serving that 3-game suspension imposed by the school to kind of lessen some of those maybe impending NCAA violations that are coming down the line there. But didn't really look like they needed Jim Harbaugh on the sideline today, at least.
Yeah, what was really shocking to me was that they weren't able to kind of push the line of scrimmage the way that they normally do. They didn't run the ball efficiently as we have expected Michigan to push other teams around at the line of scrimmage. The good thing is J.J. McCarthy has a ton of experience. Now you can lean on him and his experience to take you over that hump when you aren't firing all cylinders. So it's a good sign and a bad sign for Michigan that they didn't run the ball very well, but at the same time, J.J. McCarthy's experience shone through, and he played extremely well.
All right, so Scoob, Harbaugh out for 3 games at I mean, for now, that's all we know. He's out for 3 games. What does that mean for Michigan, who, again, has a ton of expectations trying to win a college football playoff game potentially this year?
People like to call this a slap on the wrist in terms of 3 games. It was a self-imposed ban, but Harbaugh described it as a bat to the kneecap, whatever that means.
That doesn't feel good.
It can't feel good. But this is a whole.
But he did it to himself.
Yeah. This is a whole bigger issue in terms of the NCAA and the way that they're going to be placing down these suspensions on the coaches. I wonder if these schools are just going to reach a point and be like, well, NCAA, what hand do you guys really have? Why are you going to govern us in such a way? And Harbaugh believes that he was in the right, and he's still fighting that. And it was a self-imposed ban. It's what he did. But I think the conversation is a lot more deeper than just these 3 games.
When you're guilty, deny.
Yeah.
So he's going to keep denying because that's what's going to help him keep his job.
Well, but okay. So let's say he is out for the 3 games and maybe more.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean for a Michigan team that does have those high aspirations? And we saw what McCarthy could do today. We have seen what Corum can do in this entire team when it's humming, especially on the defensive side. Take it back to last year. I mean, no offense to TCU. Michigan should have probably won that game. Right? I mean, and they bring back so much talent. So what is this kind of looming large? How do the players? Take me from a player's perspective.
I don't know. Maybe Harbaugh did a Scooby-Doo. Maybe he was dressed like in another outfit there and was actually coaching on the sideline.
Little Bobby Valentine?
Sure. Yeah, maybe that. But listen, if you're as good as you say you are, then you should be okay these first 3 games. You shouldn't have any hiccups. So if you are the team that you claim to be a college football contender and someone that should end up winning the national championship, you should be able to get through these first few games without Harbaugh being on the sideline.
No question about it. Those are a couple of the games that we have already seen going on. We got a lot more football to get to as well later on in the college football show.
3rd and 3 from the 13, zone read. Travis will keep stutter step. Oh, what a move! Jordan Travis, an ankle breaker. Touchdown, Florida State.
I know we're going to score. We got a quarterback whose feet are deadly and his arms are more deadly.
We have to keep him uncomfortable all night. We have to push the pocket and not just let him sit back there and get to his first and second read all the time.
I mean, it's difficult to defend. You obviously want to keep him from being all over the field, and it's the play that breaks down where he becomes really dangerous. So try to keep him in the pocket. We've got to put him in some positions where he doesn't know exactly what he sees and try to get him confused.
Daniels, keeper, escapes, makes a cut. Daniels in space. He'll score!
Jaden Daniels, he's a really special player. He's deadly with his arm and can make plays with his feet.
Each week, Jaden has shown that he's gotten more comfortable with the playbook and being more of a vocal leader. I feel like Jaden, each week he gets stronger.
He's surrounded by incredible playmakers at the receiver and tight end position. He's got really talented guys in front of him, but he is a catalyst. The way that they try to keep balance in the run game and the passing game, just the dynamic that he brings, it forces us to be at our best level because he can definitely make you pay.
Who says college football can only be played on Saturdays? We got the game of the weekend coming up tomorrow, LSU, Florida State. This is a top 10 matchup. You got stars on both sides with the quarterbacks, Jordan Travis, Jaden Daniels. If this game is anything like it was last year in the 1-point finish that it was for Florida State, we are going to be in for a treat. Guys, when you look at this matchup, when you look at the expectations on both sides for this team, for these teams, what kind of jumps off the page at you as what you're going to be keeping an eye on for this game?
Well, unfortunately, for both teams, that we have just national championship implications week 1, where some other teams really have that walk-in game to get comfortable, to figure out who they are and find out their identity. These teams can be ready to go from day 1, but really excited to see this QB matchup. I think we got 2 of the better QBs in the country going against each other, going into their second year of being more comfortable with their new offensive situation. So really just curious to see kind of who steps to the plate earliest here in this matchup.
Yeah, what immediately stands out is the 2 quarterbacks in this matchup. I'm really interested to see Jaden Daniels and what he does, because last year throughout the season, you saw him get better and better. Early on, he would go through his first read in the progression and kind of tuck the ball away and go ahead and run. But as he got more comfortable in this system, he was able to make more reads and become that Heisman caliber player that beat Alabama later on in the season. So to see what they're able to do, and then on top of that, how about his wide receiver, Johnny Wilson? The dude is 6'7", 220-something pounds at wide receiver, making all those moves. And in the Cheez-It Bowl, he had 8 catches, over 200 yards. I think that's another person to look out for and see how that matchup is going to be in the secondary. But, Matt, there's going to be a matchup in the trenches to look out for in this game, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's really going to be kind of where the game is won, I think, in this matchup, right? This is an old school SEC type of game that we're used to, and really just who's going to make the most impactful play. Jared Verse is one of the best defensive linemen in the country. Is he going to make that game-changing sack throughout the game, right, that really keeps, you know, this LSU offense on their heels and gets Jaden Daniels off the field? And then really just the missing piece of Mason Smith and being suspended for that one game, the one game being the biggest game of the year for the LSU Tigers. Here's Harbaugh and them getting suspended on their own accord, and the NCAA suspends Mason Smith in his infraction a week before the NIL became legal. So that's going to be a really big a matchup for them, is just the depth at the defensive line position for LSU versus that offensive line. How
about for Florida State, too? Because, you know, you have Jordan Travis there, who I feel like has taken steps. And once he announced that he was actually coming back, it kind of set off. All right, now we're all coming back. And he's got a ton of weapons. He's a nightmare or matchup nightmare for opponents, you know, throwing the deep ball. And we know LSU lost all of those players in the secondary last year. Which one of these teams do you think has maybe more expectations on them this year, or who has the edge? Maybe let's start there.
I guess I want to put maybe a little bit more pressure on Florida State and Mike Norvell. I think it's really going to be just Jordan Travis, Trey Benson, Jared Verse, Keon Coleman, all those guys. Like, you got all the playmakers. You've gotten a ton of experience from a year ago. You know, now can you get over the hump and be the top dog in the ACC?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for both teams. I mean, FSU is coming off of a 6-game winning streak. Let's not forget last year they lost 3 straight, and then they hammered out 6 straight in order to get to this point of the season, and they just picked it up. I mean, remember people were calling for Norvell's head at one point, and Prime, Coach Prime was brought up in the conversation as a potential guy to be brought in and coach this team, but now things have completely changed over, and here we are talking about this team as though they're one of the best in the country. I know a number of people have them in their top 4 for the CFP, so really excited for this matchup and really excited to see who comes out on top.
We'll see if they kept their receipts too.
Deion keeps receipts, that's for sure. Scoob, who are you taking in this one?
I'm going to take...
Don't pause. Come on, man. Let's go.
I'm going to take LSU. I'm riding about LSU in this one.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, Florida State, baby. No doubt.
I'm going to take Florida State, too. To your point, I think Mike Norvell has a ton to prove. So Scooby's the only one that probably is going to be right in that one. All right, let's continue on. We got a segment we like to call Holy Cow, and it pretty much is about, well, this is the best thing that we saw today, and we've seen a couple of great plays today. And Scoob starts with SMU.
Yeah, well, it's a play that makes you say, holy cow, you know, we got the music going on and everything, and Corey Robinson here is a big man on the loose. Check it out. I mean, do you even see the play happen? Yoinks, give me that. We gonna rate this from 0 to 100. I'm gonna give this one a 92. Let's go, baby. 92 for the big man. That's a thick 6, and we gonna ride with it in the 90s. All right, Sam, what you got for us next?
Again, I should have mentioned, we rate them 1 through 100. That's 92. Maddie, on to Boston College. There was not a lot to be happy about in Boston College, but this is like you're playing Madden back here.
Castellanos, baby, making magic. He's making chicken salad out of chicken doo-doo right here. And you know what? I love it, man. This is Fran Tarkenton-esque type of football play. This is the greatest 7-yard completion I've ever seen in my life. So fantastic play right there at Boston College despite the loss.
I'm so happy we got doo-doo in the show today. That is great.
And we went all the way to 100 with that as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, I totally forgot the segment.
Absolutely. And then Oklahoma, Arkansas State. Give me that ball.
Woo-hoo.
Give me it.
Come on, we played some hot potato on the field as well. Listen, man, that is some great hand-eye coordination. Jaden Gibson with the reach over the defender. I gave the last one a 92, but this one I'm gonna bump it up and give it a 98. Let's go. Just 2 points off of 100, but that's a passing grade by far. You feel me?
I'm gonna one-up you here. We'll go 99 on this play for Isaiah Infonse. Big run through the mean green. Get out of my way.
It looks like a highlight.
Somebody bring him down.
For high school.
Nobody could take down Isaiah Infonse.
That was in fancy.
You know, Cal joining the ACC, so they got to show out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see you doing it.
They're going to rack up the miles here pretty soon. Good
Yeah, you know, might as well.
So we went 99 there. That was impressive stuff for Holy Cow, guys. We saw some great plays as well. We got more highlights to give you as well here in this one. Let's go out west, shall we? Washington, the second best offense in the country last year, and it was incredible stuff. Michael Penix Jr. was spectacular.
Oh, yeah, he finds Gene McClain there, and they go up 14-9, but then the next drive, Penix goes deep again, and he finds his boy Poke for the touchdown. Listen, Penix was a problem last year, and this kid is one of the best QBs in the country. Make sure you keep an eye on him. Everyone was wondering if they'll be able to ball in this game, and they did. Now the next play, Penix finds Romeo Udunze in the corner of the end zone. They led 35-19 after this play over here. He's just placing the ball in the perfect location. Listen, the Pac-12 is definitely one of the most competitive conferences in the entire country. Michael Penix goes 29 for 40, 450 yards, 5 touchdowns in this game. Definitely a guy to continue to keep your eye on throughout the whole season. Washington, man, I really think they can scare some people this season. How do you feel about their place in terms of getting into the CFP?
Man, I can't lie. On the radio show with Trevor Maddich and Matt Schick, I picked them as one of my teams to make it to the college football playoff. I just love Michael Penix Jr. so much. He's just a super entertaining football player to me. You know, Indiana hasn't been as relevant and since he's been there. You know, and this guy is just an absolute baller. You saw those passes down the field, too. I mean, just the accuracy that where he can throw the football 30 yards or more as accurate as he has is super impressive. So Michael Penix, the lefty, doing his thing.
It also helps when you bring back a pair of 1,000-yard receivers from last year, and that's what Michael Penix did there. And I think, too, when you talk about the larger conversation within the Pac-12 this year, yes, this is the last year of as we know it in the Pac-12. We saw Utah play and take down Florida on Thursday. I mean, it looks like some roads are going to be leading through Utah as well.
Roads are definitely going to be leading through Utah. I don't know if Utah maybe is quite as sound as they were a year ago as a whole team, right?
Okay.
Playing complementary football. They're still going to be a threat, absolutely. But I still give that slight edge to Washington, to Oregon, and to USC to be the 3 favorites out of that conference.
So many quarterbacks in that conference.
Best quarterback conference of the country.
That's the reason why I said it's one of the best ones in the country, because we know the game of football is played through the quarterback position. And when you look at the quarterbacks in that conference, you say to yourself, whew, wow, these guys can keep them in the game at any point. And not just those quarterbacks you named. Shedeur Sanders is now a guy that should be in that conversation. Definitely. And we're seeing each and every single one of them in this conference step up. And it's a shame that they're breaking up the way that they are, because this is your best year. And I don't know how long we've seen.
Well, again, 2016 was the last time that Pac-12 had a team in the CFP. Might Washington be that team again this year? Let's take it on down to the Lone Star State. Rice in Texas. Go to Austin. The turf is about 1,000 degrees. Actually, it's 160 degrees.
Well, grow grass.
Midway through the first quarter, Rice up 3-0. Heisman hopeful Quinn Ewers finding Jonathan Brooks for the 37-yard TD. Turn on the Jets, sir.
Steve Sarkisian, once again, was such a great play call.
It really is. And then move past the first 5 minutes in the game. Georgia transfer Adonai Mitchell getting open to the red zone. His first touchdown as a Longhorn, 23-3. Texas in the driver's seat. 4 minutes later, Texas on the 46-yard line. Ewers, Jadavion Sanders from 8 yards out. Sanders turns on the Jets there and beats everyone to the end zone. Longhorns lead 32-3. Great day overall for Texas as they go on to win 37-10. Quinn Ewers there, we saw him mentioned and named as the starting quarterback, kind of quelled any sort of Arch Manning conversation that would have been had. Yep. And Ewers kind of showed out today. Rice stuck in there early on in the game, unable to kind of stay in the game as it was. But 160-degree turf. Before we get to this game, what's it like playing on turf that's like 1,000,000 degrees?
It's miserable. It absolutely is miserable. You know, and also too, you know, sometimes you get hit, you get all that turf in your eye and all that stuff too. So I don't know. I mean, Texas, you got enough money. You can grow green grass down there. Come on, you can afford a.
Did you like playing on turf?
I remember when it would be that hot on the turf, I would take the water bottle and I would just spray my feet. because it is like you're literally playing on a frying pan. But I think for Texas, one thing that can't be left out of this conversation is who they got next week. Yeah. We got Alabama, Texas coming up next week. Not the greatest start for them. It was a slow start for them in this game. 37-10, you'd expect a bigger lead going up against Rice, and you don't have time to let things sink in when you got Nick Saban and them boys coming up in the next on your schedule.
I mean, two things really that jump to mind, really, as we discuss this, right? It's just all the teams that have high expectations, I feel like, played extremely tight today. All the teams that had nothing to lose, Colorado, played free and fast and loose and had a lot of fun out there, right? And that's what it's about. Having fun while you're playing the game.
So true.
You know, the other aspect too, right? You just saw with Texas, they started slow, but man, when they pour it on, it can happen really fast. Sarkisian has enough experience and enough plays within his glossary of his offense that he can go to those anytime and they can put points on the board quickly.
Texas' last conference title, 2009, Colt McCoy was the quarterback, and they had a lot of pressure on them then.
Yeah.
I feel like they have more now because no matter where you look, whether it's Vegas, whether it's FPI, or the media poll, I mean, Texas was picked to win this conference, and the defense was an issue. It was improved last year. I think it was their biggest jump since 2017, making that defense better. But this is a good Texas team, I think, that they showed out today.
Yeah, they definitely did. And that's why I feel like I just love this, the merging of OU and Texas, meeting in the middle right now. Just
it's going to be great.
Offense versus defensive battle. So it's going to be a really fun division to look out for.
Are we going on to Oregon now? Is that what we got, Oregon?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
We don't have rights to the video.
Yeah.
But they put up a straight basketball score in this game. And you brought up Bo Nix earlier. Played the first half only.
Bo Nix is still playing college football.
About 3,000 snaps, right? He's a doctor in the game of football, but solid game for them. Put up 81 points in this game. I mean, what more can we talk about this game in terms of complete dominance? 23 for 27, 287 yards, 3 touchdowns. Everything was hitting for this team, and Oregon looks good.
Efficient on offense. You expect Bo Nix, with all of his experience, to start the season fast the way that he did, making good decisions and making throws look easy. The really interesting thing, too, is Kenny Dillingham has now left. He's at our Arizona State.
Good point.
But Will Stein steps in. They don't miss a beat on offense, and they're firing on all cylinders early.
I want to talk about expectations. Quarterback play in the Pac-12. Certainly can't leave out USC. Of course, with the reigning Heisman champion coming back this year, Caleb Williams doing his thing. And I think we can probably expect more of the same this year, correct, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we saw Zachariah Branch. I mean, it was just the reincarnation right there of just Reggie Bush on the field.
Thank you for saying that.
Just make plays in space.
Gear.
Get this kid the football in space, and he is going to make things happen. And then we haven't really seen or highlighted Juice Robinson yet. They're all-country tight end who's an All-American in football and in baseball. I think he's going to be one of those presents that makes himself a little bit more of a household name as the season continues to go on because he's going to be a threat in the red zone.
USC couldn't stop, anybody last year defensively.
And it looks like it's going to be the same.
But that's the problem, right? You're plus 22 on turnovers last year. And when I continue to evaluate USC last season, that continued to stick out to me. I'm like, can this team really go that far when your defense can't stop anybody? You literally can't find.
Well, TCU did. TCU had a pretty bad defense last year, and they went all the way to the title game.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, it makes it more difficult when you start to play some of these better teams in your conference championship or in the college football playoff. So it will be kind of one of those things where just can they overcome and start to just create more turnovers, create sacks, in crucial situations as the season goes on, because that's really going to be the difference in the Pac-12 is who can win the turnover margin in these big games.
Yeah, can you get your quarterback the ball more than you can get the other guy the ball?
Absolutely, and with the new rules, too, and the game being a little bit faster, I think it's going to be a lot, too, for decision-making process to be a little bit sharper as well.
And at times, it felt like Caleb Williams could do it all for this team. But he can't play defense.
Maybe he can.
Well, maybe he can. Maybe we saw Travis Hunter do it today. The Trojans led by 14 points in all 3 of their losses last year. And not to kind of pick on what Lincoln Riley has done, but since he's been a head coach in 2017, he's got 6 losses when leading by 14 points or more. That's the most in that span over the last, couple of years, right? Is that an issue or a problem area for this team when you look at, okay, we are up in these games. USC is there, but they just can't close it out sometimes.
Yeah, well, when there's something like that going on for a player, eventually it's like, all right, well, that's who he is as a player, and that's a trend, and we have to do that same thing for coaches
Fair
too.
enough.
So it's a trend that's real, and this is where just being balanced as an offense is important, because at the end of the games, when you have a lead, that's where the quote-unquote 4-minute offense comes into play, and you have to win at the line of scrimmage and push the pile and get, cheap yards to keep the clock running and to make sure that your offense stays on the field.
Caleb Williams, the betting favorite to win the Heisman once again this year. You don't have to look too far down that list to find Jaden Daniels, Quinn Ewers, as well as some other names. It is week 1, guys, in college football. But, yes, we do have the Heisman odds right now. And I think we have a couple of names we should probably add to that list today,
Listen,
Scooby.
man, after we right through the real talk, you can add Dylan Edwards, you got Shedeur Sanders, and you most definitely need to add Travis Hunter onto that list. Listen, 129 combined snaps on the field is absolutely unheard of.
Silly.
We have not seen anything to this level. I mean, maybe we've seen it when Charles Woodson did it, but not to this level. The kid was on the field all the time. After the game, they asked him, what's the most amount of snaps that you think you've played in your career? He said right around 120. But as I mentioned, he was at 129 for this game. He was making plays on defense. He was making plays on offense. He had some key tackles, some key deflections, key catches. This kid has a motor that is absolutely next level. And to not put him in the Heisman conversation, I think is absolutely blasphemy, as Stephen A. would say. Blasphemy! Throw him in the Heisman conversation. And I don't know what the odds are. It's probably 1.5 million, but get him in while you can.
Agree?
Well, I mean, the big question mark really will be, how do the Heisman voters feel when they're, 6-6?
Yeah.
Can they still have that same, energy going into that Heisman race? Because I feel like at the end of the year, the Heisman race is really focused on the quarterback or the best offensive football player on the team that is winning the most games.
Yep.
So they will be potentially an anomaly in that field.
Just let him come to New York. Let him come to New York. But those
They're
other
entertaining. That's all
right,
we know.
exactly.
I like it. But it's too early for this Heisman stuff. I don't give a damn right now.
I mean, Sam Hartman, you see him that's a good bet too. He's playing well. He's playing well, Sam. Listen, I'm a better man myself. I'm just looking.
No, not you.
I'm just looking for ways to come up with some change, man.
Yeah, all right.
Change, that's what you're looking for?
Good luck, man.
Let's bet on something strange for a little piece of change. That's all.
Unbelievable. All right, let's take a live look. And we got Alabama playing right now as well. We'll look at what's going on against Middle Tennessee. Guys, this is a game where if you're trying to figure out who your starting quarterback is, I'm not sure exactly that this is the game you want to have to do it. Because Middle Tennessee ranked 1st and 2nd in the country in the last 2 seasons in interceptions. So, I don't know. This is going to be a tough game to try to figure out who your starting quarterback is going to be, right? I mean, that's what we're waiting to find out in this.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, we think it's going to be Jalen Milroe. We'll see. But I think it really is one of those things. It doesn't really matter to Nick Saban this year. I think he's really going to double down and go back to what made him Nick Saban in all those years past, that made him the guy that he is. Physical at the line of scrimmage, run the football, control the tempo of the game, play great defense, create turnovers, and just win the physicality battle and wear the other team out. Win close games and then make it look like a blowout in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, he's definitely going to. The word on the street is they're going to be trying to make it like the 2010, 2011 Alabama, really physical football. And Jalen Milroe gives you that option to run with the QB. And the thing about running with the quarterback, it gives you another blocker. Because, typically when you hand the ball off to the running back, the quarterback is chilling, and then, the numbers are a little bit different.
I know all about that.
Yeah, right. So you have a guy like Jalen Milroe that can run the ball. You're in a good position. And then let's not forget Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator coming there from Notre Dame. Notre Dame had a dominant running game to close out the season last year, and as they ripped off all those wins. Now, Tyler Buchner, he transferred from Notre Dame, and he's one of the QBs that was in position to win this job. I'm curious to see if he'll get on the field as well. And this whole situation with Alabama, I think, is going to go well into the season. Maybe we'll see all 3 guys at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't be shocked at that at all. And we've seen that with Tommy Rees. That's a great point, that he's actually been better at just developing a run game than he is with passers so far in his young career as an offensive coordinator. And Nick Saban, I think, is totally cool with that. I don't think Nick Saban really wants to put his team or his quarterback in a ton of pressure. I think they're really going to be very comfortable with winning tight games, and then, again, like I said earlier, just that physical battle late in the fourth quarter.
All right, so underway there in Tuscaloosa. And by the way, I don't understand necessarily the narrative that's out there that Alabama is done. I mean, let's just take a second to remember the 2 losses for Alabama last year, right? I mean, they were on last snaps of the game, both losses coming in the final moments as well, and time expiring field goal for Tennessee, and then it was gambling on a 2-point conversion there. So, you know, they were really tight losses for Alabama. Not in the college football playoff. Obviously, that's the expectation every single year for this team. But what do you kind of think this year for Alabama looks like if it's successful?
I mean, the last time people didn't vote for Alabama to win the SEC, they won the national championship. So let's not forget who Nick Saban is and how much great play. How much of a
I'll get a fire.
I love football, y'all. But let's not forget how much of a GOAT he is. And just going back to the physicality, Matt, we can jump into this topic of you see a team like Alabama, they're going to jump into the running game a lot more. But the game of football itself has switched to be more of a pass-happy type of game of football. With Alabama having all those big guys and diving into the run game more, do you think other teams are going to be caught off guard by that physicality?
I mean, it's definitely something to kind of keep in mind as we watch these games, because as the college game has continued to spread out and spread the field more, you kind of lose sight of how to coach some of the more intricate things on how to take on a blocker, how to take on a pulling guard, how to read a proper offensive lineman as he's moving through this through run stuff. So it's extremely difficult. It's extremely tedious. This is why teams always struggle against the Armies, Navies, and Air Forces of the world, because there's a lot of details that have to be covered. So in this situation, I think Alabama, going back to old school football, some coaches will forget about that history book because they've tried to move to the modern age of football too fast.
Yeah, man. I just think back of when I used to play.
All those years ago.
Like 2 years ago.
I'll take you back to high school. There was one team that ran the wing tee, and preparing for them during that week was hell. It was such a pain, and you knew every single play was a run play. But it is so difficult to go from preparing for a team that runs a spread and then coming into a run-dominant team. Right. It wears down on you after a while, and to prepare for it during the week switches everything up.
And you know what? The whole Nick Saban thing and that narrative, you know why? Because it's easy. It's easy to pick on him. It's because the Cyclops got hit in the eye, and everyone's all excited about it. You know, the problem is, though, is that he's not dead, and it's not going to change anytime soon. He's still going to be a force to reckon with, but his student, Kirby Smart, is the best coach in in college football right now.
Yeah. In NFL?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know, man.
Do it all.
He's damn good. Sorry. I blacked out. I didn't know what happened. Yeah.
Week one. We're calling it week one. By the way, we have seen some great things today. We have seen some not so great things, which leads us to our next segment, which is called Bruh. Pretty self-explanatory, because sometimes you just kind of shake your head and you're like, what are we doing? Like this mailman at College Game Day down there in Charlotte. This is like 9:30 in the morning, my guy. What are we doing?
That mayo is like yellow, by the way, too. I'm not sure how good that mayo is.
Makes me
Will
sick.
Levis is totally jealous right now watching this clip. He's like, oh, I wish that was me.
He's trying to get himself a sponsorship deal, too. Listen. Hey, kudos to dude. He knew what he was doing. As soon as the camera hit, he's like, put it on me, go. Good call, bro. I heard
then what do you do?
Yeah,
you need a shower after that, right? Immediately?
That's nasty, boy.
But check this out.
You nasty.
Just listen. Oh, y'all heard that? That's the crowd saying, bruh. Because that hit was so big that if this was Sonic, gold coins would be all over the field. He folded dude like a lawn chair. He knocked him into a new dimension. I don't know. Give me another one. It made me say, bruh.
I can't say too much about this because I have been on the end of hits like that.
What's it feel like?
There is no feeling because, it all goes dark. Yeah.
And then here we go. RMU, this is just kind of not it. This is not it. I think I'm just going to leave it at that.
Bruh. Listen, they say the game is played in all three phases, all right? There's one phase in offense, there's a second phase in defense, and there's a third one in special teams. And you gotta be able to do the things on special teams, bruh. Come on, man.
You also can do some blocking. In Tennessee, here we go, good measure.
Oh,
Big man making some room. John
all the way
Campbell
to
Jr.
the tunnel.
Matt, where have we seen this before?
Yeah, I said the sideline earlier, but the blind side, it's unbelievable. I mean, all the way to the tunnel, into the cameraman, and yeah, hopefully, thankfully, no one was hurt in animals in that situation.
Okay, here we have the same game, right? After you celebrate for making a big play, try to refrain from hurting yourself.
Or falling
okay?
down, yeah.
Yeah, because this was not. Oh, bruh.
Oh.
Bruh. I hope he's good. Like, in all seriousness,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm wishing
getting
him
carted off.
the best. But bruh, you made the great play on the field. Keep it safe. Keep it calm. Keep it cool. We need you back in the game. Hopefully, he'll be back this season.
How often do we see that happen in a celebration when you get an injury? I mean, it feels like it happens too often to do the crazy celebration.
Yeah, I mean, just, the joy and the elation of the play, you just go crazy. So, I wasn't athletic enough to actually hurt myself in a situation like that. Yeah, and I probably didn't make enough plays anyway that were that game-changing to hurt myself either. But, man, hopefully he is healthy and back next week.
No question about it. So we are about, 15 minutes away from the top of the hour. We have a great finish for you as well. All right, let's check out some game-changing connections presented by AT&T 5G. Coaches drew it up, players got it done, and we start with Colorado and TCU. Colorado a ton to prove. Pick it up, 4th and 2, TCU 46. Shedeur Sanders, Maddie.
Shedeur Sanders, man, it's easy. You know why? Because Sean Lewis drew it up perfect for the perfect situation. It is 4th and 2. It is man coverage. They do the whole swinging fence. They pick the linebacker, and then Dylan Edwards does the rest of the backfield, outrunning the rest of the TCU defense down the sideline for the game-changing touchdown.
Yeah, great play call by Sean Lewis, their OC right there. Dylan Edwards, 4 touchdowns on the day. The kid's a freshman, nearly 160 total yards on the day for him. Just an absolute monster game. And being that young, stepping up that much on this stage says what type of player he is.
It's awesome, too, because he's so young. He doesn't even know any better. He's just out there playing football in prime. He did a great job of motivating his football players today. You can see they were ready to go.
He sure did. And Colorado had a lot to prove today. They went out and proved it. I'll tell you what, BC also had something to prove, and they did not prove it. Instead, it was Rocky Lombardi. Overtime. Get me in the end zone, sir.
Rocky, hit him with the body shot. That away, baby. And that's how you do it right there. Rocky Lombardi, I mean, you said it, Sam. The greatest football name of the year so far. He's got a few other contenders, but Rocky doing a great job of getting that push and getting in the end zone to seal the win.
Yeah, they did not throw in the white towel. They kept it going all the way until the end. You got to love to see it. NIU, I was out in Illinois for a little bit when I worked in Iowa, and to see that team get this win on the road is big for them. However, I am from the Boston area, so seeing, my Eagles lose, you know what it is.
A little conflicted.
Mixed feelings. Look, this NIU team, by the way, won 3 games last year, and they started 1-0, so that's impressive stuff for them. Also, we have a couple of other friends maybe not playing on the field today, but we also have some furry friends going out, getting the spot, bringing it back. That is Juice.
The juice is loose. Way to make the call. Listen, I'm a big dog person. They don't call me Skubie for nothing. Seeing them out on the field do their thing, that's a good boy,
By
man.
the way,
that's a good boy.
That is so American right there. Football and dogs.
Does Scrappy do that? Can Scrappy do that?
Yes, for what he's referencing, everybody, my dog's name is Scrappy, and he's very well trained. If I'm like, yo, Scrap, go ahead and get that, he's going to go get it. That's a good boy.
We got to get Scrappy out there and get a few reps.
I'm saying, man, he needs to start paying some bills around the house.
That's not going to happen.
That's how you do it right there. Get an NIL deal with Ole Miss.
Incredible stuff, though. Those are your game-changing connections presented by AT&T 5G. All right, North Carolina, South Carolina. Game day was there in Charlotte earlier on. We will look in live. And look, this is a great matchup here between these two. South Carolina, even with the bowl loss in Notre Dame last year, guys, finished maybe as good as anybody in the country. Spencer Rattler was as good as anybody in the country last year. And then, of course, you got Drake May on the other side leading North Carolina in offense that is going to be really good again this year. So, Scoob, I'll start with you. What are you going to keep an eye out for in this matchup tonight?
Well, this is definitely the second biggest game of the weekend behind FSU and LSU because the QB battle as well is big time. Drake May, we saw what he was able to do last year. This dude's on NFL Scouts' radar all over the league, and they're going to be watching this game to see how he plays. And the type of talent that he got coming back and the experience that he has from last year, I think is going to be able to play dividends into this season. He also dealt with some injuries last year, but I'm also really looking at Spencer Rattler. You saw the way that he finished the season last year, the big win against Tennessee. They look like a different team, and if they're able to bring that momentum from the end of the season into this season, Matt, I think they'll be a contender in the SEC as well.
Yeah, I mean, the question mark really is just going to be Drake May. He kind of finished the year a little, off. Can he start fast and really just keep the machine going of the Phil Longo experience, right? Because he's left.
That's
he's
the
now
biggest
in Wisconsin.
question. Yeah.
So now you have Chip Lindsey and Lonnie Galloway replacing. Chip Lindsey is the offensive coordinator. Lonnie Galloway is the passing game coordinator.
Yeah.
Always confused on how that actually works and why that title is the way that it is. But those two gentlemen have to make it work for this North Carolina team. Really, at the end of the day, for both of these teams, defense is going to be suspect.
Yes.
We're expecting a high-scoring game for both of these teams as the year goes on. Spencer Rattler, can he finally kind of live up to the hype of being that huge recruit that he was and take his team to that next level? And I'm really excited to see Nick Harbaugh, their stud freshman.
You just saw North Carolina rip off a run there. The biggest question for South Carolina is this year, when are they going to be able to stop the run? It's been 5 consecutive seasons now that South Carolina has finished 11th or worse in the SEC in rushing defense. North Carolina's issue wasn't necessarily on the rushing defense; it was the passing defense last year. So, it's going to be interesting how that plays out throughout the game tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And just want to add one thing about Mac Brown. I mean, this is a guy that's got 99 career wins at UNC right now. He had 158 at Texas. If he gets this win tonight, he's got 100 at 2 different schools. What an unbelievable thing that is for a head coach, in this college football. And I had the pleasure of meeting Mac on numerous occasions. My brother played for him at the University of Texas. And just an unbelievable person and man. And, the kindness that he showed me as a young, little brat from Jersey, showing up and hanging out with all those guys. Just unbelievable how great of a person and a leader he is. So excited for Mac to get that 100th win and be a 100 winner at 2 different schools is amazing.
We love that. See, that's why we got Matt on the show. He even knows Mac and everything.
I don't know Mac.
Come on, you tapped in.
I met Mac.
You know what I mean? You tapped in and everything.
him.
Come on, superstar. Don't tell me. He knows Mac. You know what I'm saying? He knows
whatever.
Mac.
He knows everybody.
He definitely didn't invite me back.
But you can also agree with this in the sentiment that Mac said in every meeting. Drake May says, Coach comes in and he says 9's not enough.
Yeah.
Referring to the 9 wins that they had last year. The ACC, I think a lot of people like Florida State in there. It seems a little bit more wide open maybe than in years past, especially with the question marks that Clemson even has at quarterback, right?
Yeah, I think Clemson is not exactly the team that we maybe are hoping them to be. I'm actually curious to see how this Duke team looks.
Yeah, watch out for that game Monday.
High expectations for Duke this year. Can they live up to that? Can their quarterback live up to them? So the ACC has a lot of question marks. And rightfully so, but North Carolina with their quarterback seems to be, the easy one to kind of pick and lean on a little bit here with Florida State as well.
Yeah, I can see why people are excited about Clemson because you get Garrett Riley coming over from TCU,
right.
And then you got Cade Klubnik, the 5-star freshman QB from last year. He got plenty of snaps last year to understand the speed of the game. So this season, he's going to be able to take that next step, right? That's exactly what you expect. And I've heard a lot of good rumblings about Cade Klubnik through camp. They're saying his accuracy up. He's taking control of the huddle. He's been a leader. So when you hear all those
cliches.
things, yeah, exactly.
All the coach speak is out.
Yeah, that's right.
Talk is cheap as soon as the season starts.
No doubt.
We saw Colorado cash in on that. Now it's time to see if Clemson can cash in on that as well because we hear everything good about them.
Definitely.
All right, let's go on to the number 1 team in all of the land, and that would be the Georgia Bulldogs, again, starting to try to go for 3 in a row, something that has not been done in the AP poll era. And, they're off to a good start. Carson Beck, 14 for 21 so far. 134 yards and a rushing tutty as well. They're at the half right now. Guys, I think the conversation for Georgia starts with Kirby Smart, and obviously the Stetson Bennett is no longer their conversation. They lost a ton of players in the draft. Didn't seem to bother them last year. They lost a ton of players in the draft this year. I don't know. But so far, it doesn't look like it's bothering them.
Yeah, Carson Beck is he's taken over the reins, right? You wonder if he's going to be able to improvise as much as Stetson Bennett did. But one thing about this team that I keep looking at is their schedule. Their schedule is a cupcake walkthrough, and you just don't want to see them sleepwalk all their way to like a tough matchup, like when Tennessee's on the schedule, even though I wasn't that much impressed with what Tennessee did today. Yeah. But you still want to see some challenges early on in the season. I don't see too many, but this team is so talented in the roster from top to bottom. So, I mean, are they going to slip up, Matt?
I mean, you've seen Kirby Smart? You see the way he talks? Even in interviews, man, that dude is different. That dude is wired different. He's borderline, un pollo loco, right? So he's going to be all right. I think this team, of course there's high expectations. I think that they are in a perfect position, right, to just continue on what they're doing, dominate the SEC East. The question mark will be, can they beat Tennessee? But really, what will Tennessee be by the time that they meet them? So that'll be the matchup to look for. But I don't expect Georgia to really slip up this season. I expect really their toughest matchup to come in the college football playoff.
Yeah, and Kirby Smart also said it's easy to get comfortable, but comfortable doesn't win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good quote by him there. But also, how do you not get comfortable when you look at the schedule and you see the names of the teams that they're going to be playing? They're also home quite a bit this year. I don't know. I don't know how you don't get comfortable.
Well, great coaches like Kirby Smart, they're not playing against like, oh, we got this team this week. Every team is a faceless enemy to them.
Yeah.
Amen, and every team is more so about, can I sharpen this player to do this responsibility better? And that's what all the great coaches are. They're obsessed with it, and they're obsessed with just molding, their particular football players into better football players. So that's why I have, complete faith in Kirby Smart.
Yeah, you're just looking at their schedule right now. You see
the
that
win rate.
Yeah, right. 91%, 97%. It gets higher and higher as you look at it. But I am curious about that South Carolina matchup to see what is South Carolina today. We're going to be obviously keeping an eye on that game. But just looking down at that schedule, it's a cakewalk. UT Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, Auburn, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Florida.
I think
we saw
Auburn,
Florida, Missouri.
You know what?
Auburn played really well today.
I think the Auburn one is not as much as a cakewalk as we might think. I think Hugh Freeze is one of those coaches that maybe can give them a few headaches schematically as they match up together. But that's a good one for us to kind of judge and see exactly where they lie on the totem pole.
Yeah, I think although it is a cakewalk, right? We said this roster is so talented from top to bottom. So when they're in practice, you got to think that these guys are competing against the best in the country.
Oh, right.
It's an iron sharpens iron mentality. And if you have the best players in the country on your roster and you're competing against them every single day, you're going to be playing at a very high level.
And I think that, too, with what we saw in Colorado today, it was really interesting in the postgame kind of press conference there. Deion Sanders said quite a bit of things there, but his players spoke as well. And Shedeur said, I'm throwing against one of the best cornerbacks and one of the best defensive players in the entire country with Travis Hunter. I think we have our first score, but a flag is on the field right now. North Carolina celebrating. But
yeah, I said I want to see this
South might be coming back.
Game. All right.
Sam, you bring up a great point, though, with Georgia. You really do. Because, yeah, he might be throwing against the best corner, but Georgia, they're playing against first-round draft picks all over the field every day in practice. You hear some of the guys that are on the Eagles right now, they're like, man, NFL practice is easy. I was going against guys that were like, it was a deeper team than what he sees with the Eagles currently right now. So I wasn't sure exactly who said that quote, but it is amazing the depth and the talent that they have, their ability to recruit, another top 10 recruiting class again this past year. And, really the biggest question mark, I think, for them going into the year really is just playing efficiently on offense as constantly as possible and getting guys like Brock Bowers the ball consistently.
Yeah. It's about as simple as that. Get Brock Bowers the ball any way that you possibly can. He already has a rushing touchdown today. He's a tight end, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, right.
Let's remember that this tight end can literally get the ball behind the line of scrimmage and take it to the house. That type of burst away speed is completely different from that type of position with his size. I saw him in person last year at the national championship, and I was just like blown away.
Large.
Different human.
Yeah. All right, we got about a minute left, guys. This has been, again, a great first day, first week. It's been excellent to see college football back. You mentioned the dew is back. You mentioned Colorado as
and the do.
Baby.
What is your biggest takeaway, I guess, from today, and maybe anything you're looking forward to later on tonight, tomorrow, and Monday?
Yeah, I think it's something that I said earlier, is just the fact that teams with high expectations, I thought, played extremely tight today. I really did. And I thought they kind of played more so in fear of, like, trying not to lose. And that's something they got to overcome as the season goes.
Yeah, like I said earlier, talk is cheap. All that talk is over with. Now let me hear your play on the field do the rest of the talk. And we saw Colorado back it up and a number of other teams. I'm interested to see how everything else maps out because teams in college football get better as each week goes by.
Right.
Is Colorado the team to beat in college football right now?
The team to talk about.
For this week.
For this week?
Okay.
Week,
yeah.
Man, they got Nebraska next week and then Colorado State, I think.
We're like the little Giants, just one time.
One game at a time, baby.
Well, it's been an excellent week one. We've had some great games as well. We'll make sure we'll have some great games later on as well. We have the wrap-up coming up later on tonight. Make sure you tune in on ESPN Digital. Scubie and I will be there for that. We'll be here again next Saturday, 8 o'clock. Thanks again for watching the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. We'll see you next week, guys.
Deuces.